So, hello, Dincho. Thank you for stepping in to do this interview. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you joined the Eternity Project?
Hello, I'm really excited to be here. It's something new for me, and I'm a bit nervous. Well, back in the times, I, a friend of mine approached me when Eternity was looking for new team members. There was no mainnet, testnet, nothing, almost nothing, just the beginning of the node, the Erlang node. So they was really rushing for having a testnet, for tomorrow.
Yesterday, for
Yeah, for
yesterday.
yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is basically how I started. So my friend approached me, we agreed on some terms, uh, and I just started. I mean, immediately.
So, and you're responsible for making sure that we have nodes that run and
Yeah, I'm
stay up.
responsible for for the testnet nodes, the seed nodes of the mainnet, API gateways, a lot of continuous integration and deployment pipelines. Uh,
So in an
this kind of
ecosystem
stuff.
that's young and people are relying on those seed nodes or this testnet to run, what are and also where there's dependencies like we have the middleware, we have the wallets or depend on the nodes or having nodes that are up so that they don't have to host their own at least for now. Like, can you tell us what are some of the challenges to run a network like this that people basically need to have running all the time and they're kind of a lot of time looking for you to make sure it's there.
Yeah, the challenges are the most challenging thing is to make sure the nodes are in sync because otherwise you're seeing other state of the data. So maybe that's the most challenging. So we invest a lot of efforts in monitoring that, and for example, uh, bootstrapping a new node faster than syncing it. Because, for example, if some of the nodes get out of fail for some reason, we have to replace it really fast. So we can keep the redundancy in the environment.
In sync, yeah. So what about like the whole point of having a blockchain is to have a decentralized network, which means that beyond the seed nodes, people are running their own nodes, or whether that's test or mainnet. What can you like? How do we? How does one transition from, like in your case, like you're right now making sure the nodes run, but you could arguably say that in the future it would also be important to um, have some kind of support for people who want to run their own nodes and are basically looking for someone who's already done that and knows what they're doing. Like what, you know, how do you think we're heading that direction, or like are you prepared for this for to basically shift from running some nodes to making sure that other people could run their nodes, and
Yeah,
what does that look
I
like?
got it. Yeah. So first of all, right now we have a Docker image, which is the easiest way to
Yep.
have your node running. But for example, if you have to mine, or you, I mean, for performance reason, Docker is not really suitable. But for running your DApp backend, it should be fine. That's the easiest way. And running a whole set of nodes, for example, we are now using Terraform to provision the infrastructure. It's not really ready for public, but my plans are to actually make that models usable by the public, so you can span, for example, your own API
Yep.
gateway. But that will take time. And of course, we're using a lot of Ansible playbooks to install stuff, dependencies, of course, on the node as well, to maintain the node, for example, reset its database, take a backups, and etc. So that's also in my plans to be. It's public, but it tied a bit with our infrastructure. So once we are able to get rid of that dependency, it can be actually useful for our community as well. But I'm not. I mean, it depends on the use case. For example, the exchanges, of course, have to use their own nodes.
Yeah.
But for a simple DApp with not many assets
Yeah.
in the contract, for example, I think a public nodes is perfect fit because anyway they can't actually manipulate your transactions, data, change your amounts, or etc. running your code. They can. The only privacy concern is that they can monitor your activity. That's it.
Is there a relationship between, for example, let's say in the beginning my app doesn't have so many users, but in the future it grows with, and I have now all these people trying to, use it. Is there such relationship where like the more users I have, the better idea it is for me to run my own nodes, or as long as I don't need some technical custom setting, I could just rely on public ones? Or maybe should there, I guess the third option being, should there be a third party that provides like node infrastructure?
In the best case, at least there should be at least few public gateways that you can actually make a business model from that
Yeah.
gateways. You can charge a small amount, like the Infura,
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's a good to have alternatives of that. So you have
So to have options.
Yeah, options and competition, so
Okay.
they can improve.
I see.
So yeah, but it depends how many users you have.
Are
actually.
there any challenges? I heard from Mark, who's our Chinese ambassador, that they have some issues where they need to have nodes in China basically to connect to, because if they connect to the nodes in Europe, it's slower for them, or they need to use a VPN or what have you. Like, is that like, are there any inherent challenges in dealing with a country like China where there's like VPNs and stuff like that, or is that same? It's just that you're running the node in a different geographical point?
Yeah, I'm aware of that issue since yesterday, but I suspected such an issue because we're now running, for example, our managed seed nodes are run in 4 regions, but our gateway is running only in US and Europe, as for now. But yeah, we have to extend that. The issue with China is that I prefer to. We're now using only
one of the issues in China. There's many issues.
Yeah,
in
okay.
China.
I mean, we're now using Amazon Cloud
Yep.
only. We did try it multi-cloud multiple times.
Yep.
I still think it doesn't deserve the time that you have to invest for that. So, however, probably it's a problem with all the providers, but in Amazon, you can't actually have a node in China, right? You have to register in their Chinese Amazon.
Okay.
You have to be a business there, or etc. There's
I see.
some issues with having account at all.
I see.
That stops us to have a node. Otherwise, our current infrastructure and configuration is made that I can just add additional region for a couple of hours.
So for like, this is kind of specific to Eternity, if we wanted to make sure that people in China could connect to a node, and we, for example, put in the base app as an option to connect, is there something that we need to do to make sure that, like, without opening an office in China, like if there's somebody in the Chinese community that's willing to do the day-to-day work, but we also need to trust them that, they're a reliable party, like, is that easy to do? Because there's not, they're not, it's not so easy to somehow subvert like what they're doing, or do we have to constantly somehow monitor what they're doing to make sure that like we trust their actions if we're gonna say put it as a default option in the ASAP?
I think the first steps that will anyway take in very near future is to measure. For example, we have main seed nodes of the mainnet in Singapore, so we can measure the latency in
I see.
nearby
Yeah.
region that can be at least better than they
I
get
see.
for now.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. Yeah, the best step is to have actually a position, I mean, by region
Yeah.
in China. But the actual access to the blockchain via that gateways is just a single thing. If you use the middlewares, for example, you need to position that
see.
as well.
Yes. Yes.
Also, serving the applications has to be in some CDN, so they get
I
the
see.
initial vault.
So there's more complexity to it than just having.
Of course,
Yeah.
it's never
see.
simple.
So basically, if you want to make sure that all the points are covered, it's kind of a substantial effort to make sure.
Yeah,
that all is
and
good.
coordination
Okay.
between
I
the
got it.
teams as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming. I would love to keep talking, but we have a time limit here. So for anyone who wants to know, you respond on the forum, so they can type in and
Yeah,
ask
sure.
specific questions about.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.